Hello, everybody. I am here with Sharon Gear today, who I have known for several years. We were business colleagues, and actually, for many years, she was just this person that I still have a lot of respect for you. Sorry. I had a lot of respect for her.
Until just recently.
Oh my gosh, that sounded horrible. I looked up to her so much, and in fact, she taught me a lot about what I currently do in working with teens, and she just has been a light in my life, and I have seen many of life's up and downs that she has experienced over the past 10 years or so that I've known you. And it is life happens, and yes. We're gonna learn Sharon's story today because it's actually pretty incredible, and I have so much respect for her. We worked together for a company called Health Source. You guys know that. And she worked with a regional developer in you had several states. So
Arizona, Washington, and Colorado.
There you go. And a total of how many clinics that you worked with?
Gosh, make me think again.
No, right?
I think 26 at the most. Like when we were at the top of it, I think it was 26. That's what sounds right.
Yeah, that sounds right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And so she had many teams and such that she was working with. And then she also, amidst the personal challenges that were going on, there was a change in work where the regional developer that she worked with was looking at making a change, and so that created a change in Sharon's life. And I know that we had many conversations about holy crap because of what was currently going on. And so I'm going to let Sharon share her story, because that's what this is about. It's about sharing our stories and about you guys understanding that you're not in this alone. And I know that many of you are going to relate to what was going on, or what is still going on in Sharon's life. So Sharon.
Yes. So I'm hoping that you would just kind of ask the questions as we go.
I will. How about that?
Okay.
So, all right.
I do better if somebody just prompts me into like, what am I needing to say? So you guide me, Jacine.
Okay. I love that. Good. I have some people, and this is what I love about Sharon, because she tells you this is what I need.
I need you to guide me, Jacine.
She's a great communicator. All right. So Sharon, first of all, let me just tell you guys what happened, and I'll let her share a little bit more about it. But her husband, how many years ago was it that he was diagnosed with the heart condition?
Oh, and he was 36. He had his first heart attack, and then it kind of just has spiraled since then. So actually that would be, let's see, he's 53. So whatever math that is, he was 36. So a little bit less than 20 years.
Yeah. So this has been going on for 17 years.
Yep.
Okay. So that's a long time. So what are 3 significant challenges that you've faced or are currently facing with that medical challenge? Because you guys have how long have you been married? First of all, how long have you guys been married?
We will be married 34 years in December.
That's awesome.
Yes, we dated for 2 years before we got married, and then now, so 36 years we've been together. Yeah, so we've been together for a while. So you figure, like 17 years of that has been with his heart condition. So, you talk about like the challenges and the struggles. I believe you kind of get used to something, right? You get used to a situation, and yes, it's a struggle because of course you have to worry about stuff. I think the biggest part of that is the worry. You worry about, is he doing too much? Is he not doing enough? Is he this? Is he that? What is that? Like, what is that perfect balance in life?
Yes.
So that he's feeling healthy. And then when he was diagnosed with the congestive heart failure about 10 years ago, that was part of the, okay, so now what? our children were still, that would have made my children 11 and 15.
Wow.
So, that's, they're back when they're still in school, right? You're still
Right.
doing that. So that's when I actively started looking at, how do I work from home? How do I be more of a part of just like kids growing up, his, Paul and his situation, and still go on with life. Your life doesn't stop because of something like that. And Paul is never somebody that stops. He life doesn't stop him in any way. He's listening in the background, so I have to say nice things about it.
No, but that is true,
Yeah, life doesn't stop. And I think that's what made him, in the beginning of all of this, we didn't have health insurance.
Oh my gosh.
When you're looking at, you have a significant health issue and no health insurance to take care of it, it's a thing. It's a big thing.
Right.
And the first struggle was, how do we look at paying bills? Because the bills were still there. The hospital bills were still there. The very first hospital bill that we had, the hospital actually forgave the bill. They looked at our situation, and I think it was like 117,000, something like that. They forgave it, and we weren't charged that. That was, and that was wonderful. I mean, talk about an answer to a prayer that you didn't even realize that you had out there to some extent.
Right.
Was that they forgave that, and that helped.
I didn't even think that was a possibility. Wow.
Yeah, they did do that. Now the second time around, when he had the 10 years ago, that bill was not forgiven. So we still have that $120,000 that they say, well, you got to pay it. It's like, that's great. we'll pay what we can, and we do what we can towards paying that big bill. So the struggle is that money is an issue, Jacine. You look at the different things, and you talk about health insurance, and a lot of us have that in our background where we know about health insurance, and we know that it's there to help us, but in some instances it can't do everything. And if you can't afford it, what do you do? If you can't afford to get it, it can't be there to help you. So, and that's a long little tangent that we could go off on as far as that's concerned, but that's a struggle as far as money is concerned, because you have to have the money to pay for the care that you're going to get.
Right.
And now that thank goodness, now that he is on the heart transplant list, we do have the insurance that will cover everything. We had a lot of different things with our kids. The kids had to come to, now my kids are 27 and 22, right?
This is a long time. This has been a process, Sharon.
This has been a process. Yeah, it's part of, I guess you could say it's part of our lives, and we just, from one day to the next, we say, okay, what do we need to do?
Right.
And the more that we find out about the status that Paul is in right now, is he's able to be up and around and moving. So this is good. Mm-hmm. And the doctors told us just recently, they want Paul to keep his heart as long as they possibly can, because his heart, even though it has its failures, is better right now than a new heart that he has to figure out. Okay, you have all the transplant drugs, you have a lot of different things that you're looking at once you go into the transplant world, where you always have to be on something that your body doesn't reject the new heart.
Right.
So at least right now his body's not rejecting his heart, and he has been healing. His current blood work is way better than it was as of March, when we started down this path with the transplant, where the numbers are looking so much better. He has medication that he's on, he's maintaining good weights, and he's maintaining good eating cycle, and that type of thing. To help his blood work at least maintain some more calm. It's not perfect, but it's better than it was. So it's not like it's getting worse. He's at least becoming more stable. So that's a really good outlook for us. Is yes, you want the heart transplant, but then again, okay, let's stay with his heart and let him heal to some extent and feel healthy.
Right. What a blessing that you're seeing a few results in that. And wow. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure that there are a lot of listeners out there who may not have insurance, even though that's something that, that's a big deal in our country, a big deal.
It is.
Not having the health insurance, and then what happens when something big like this happens. And it, you're thinking about the heart, and you're not supposed to have stress on the heart. And, this affects, I'm sure it affects, his ability to have the job that he used to have. And
right.
So what are some, if you could give some pointers to people out there who might be in this, what would you say? How did you get through?
Well, a lot of support from good friends like you helps as far as like, getting through that part, but realizing that the money didn't make any difference. Like we made the money that we needed to feed our children and pay our bills.
Okay.
And the things that we couldn't afford as far as health insurance and those types of things, what can you do about it? I mean, you can't do much about it. If you need health care, you still can go to the hospital and they still have to give you the care. They can't turn you away, right?
That's it right
And
there.
the bills that are created from that, they can do like they're doing right now and they still charge you, but they're not knocking on my door saying pay me $120,000. It just is out there, and
So
I can't.
they're not garnishing your wages. They're not.
No, it
Okay.
hasn't. It hasn't gone to that extent, thank goodness. And it could. I mean, JC and I could never. I can't say that it wouldn't do that, but for the last 10 years, it hasn't. And thank goodness that it hasn't done that.
Right.
Currently, we just have the current stuff. Like you have the $6,500 deductible because of insurances nowadays. That now we're paying towards that because of course we reached it. We all the different things he's done this year. We have that, so we just pay what we can towards it every month, and that is the direction that we're going. But the advice that I would say to people is, if you can afford insurance, get insurance. There was a few years there that I didn't get it just because I didn't have the money. Right. And now I'm thinking to myself, how can I make it so I can't afford to have it? Because it's hard to have a bill over your head that you can't do anything about. There is a stress factor to that you don't want to have. And, in the world of how they determine whether or not you have medical coverage like Medicaid, if you make just about enough money, then you don't qualify for Medicaid, which is what I did. I always made that level where, you don't qualify because you make this much money.
Right.
And I'm like, well, that's great, but I still can't afford to get it. Like I might make this much money, but where are you saying I'm going to get it from? How am I going to pay for it?
I know. I was a single mom. It was the same thing. I ate the scraps that were left over after my kids ate because I didn't. They needed to eat first, so I get it. Yeah.
Right.
And
so that stress is something that you have to just say, okay, it's out of your control. And we talk a lot about if there's a lot of things that are out of your control, then let it be. Like let it go. And what are the things that I get up in the morning that I can control? I can control going to work. I can control, how does Paul eat? How does he think up in his head? Trying to keep him positive, and he keeps me positive on the flip side too. There's like we have the opposite times, right? Where sometimes he needs to have the pep talk, and there's times I need to have the pep talk.
That's a partnership. You guys have a great relationship in being able to do that. Yeah.
Right. And in this instance, with the side issues that we have as far as staying at his mom's house because she had the stroke 3 years ago, when we moved out of the house, my son had just graduated from high school. My other son, was just getting into a relationship with a girl that he currently is with and has 2 children now. So a lot of things go on. Again, life continues on. You have to keep doing things. And we moved in with her, and you would think that stress would cause a rift. And I believe that it's actually caused us to be closer because we had to start having those difficult conversations. We started to have to say, okay, this is how I feel about this, Paul. And he would have to say, well, this is how I feel about it too. Either you can choose to not work it out together, right? Which is, you're getting farther apart, or you can say, okay, yeah, this sucks. Like just come down to the button. Some of this really just sucks, and be okay with that.
Yeah.
You're not necessarily okay with it sucking, but you know what I'm saying? You're just able to say it sucks. And now what can we do so that when we wake up in the morning, it's not a sucky day? You're still looking at, okay, what are we grateful today? What are we mad about today? What choice are we going to make today? Are we going to make the choice to say, nah, I just want to sit in the chair and do nothing? Or what can I do? Because action, motivation, whatever comes from the actual of doing things.
Yeah.
If we sit around and feel sorry for ourselves, and this one of the struggles that, you know, as we're talking about the struggles that what you mentioned, is not getting into that pity party, you know, and
So,
wallowing in the pity party.
so you talked about, strategies. Some of the strategies are to just be grateful. Look at what you are grateful for,
Mm-hmm.
and to make it a choice. And so let's say when Paul had his heart attack, or one of the times that he went to the hospital, I mean, was there fear that he wasn't gonna make it? How do you deal with that?
You know, it's kind of crazy, JC. I never had the fear that he wouldn't be okay. I don't know if it was because of his own personal strength, that I just knew that, you know, Paul is going to be okay through this.
Yeah.
And even with the conversation of, okay, now he needs a new heart.
Yeah.
My own personal inner being says he's going to make it through that too, because he's so strong. Like, you know, it's
Yeah.
he he has a fighting personality where he doesn't just say, I've had enough, and, you know, he just
I'm
quits
done.
in the
I'm calling
situations,
it
right?
quits, right? Yeah.
Right, right. Because it, you know, and in his own personal background, he's had enough struggles that he just keeps moving forward and says, I don't have time to stop. So I think that's one of the reasons that his heart does continue to heal itself. He's been at a point with those other heart attacks where it's been pretty darn bad, and the doctors say it's pretty darn bad. How are you even walking around? He's like, because I hate hospitals. So,
Not
I'm
going
walking
there.
around because I don't want to be in the hospital.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so mind over matter in that situation. He'd rather not be in the hospital, so he gets up and he doesn't stay in the hospital.
That's amazing, and that's
Yeah,
amazing. And as a wife, that has to, like you said, that has to just be so. I see what it's done for you, I guess. That's what I can say, that it continues to give you hope. You continue to have hope, and you continue to look at the bright side. I don't,
right.
I don't, I don't see you very often just
Mhm.
so down and like, I don't know how I'm ever going to get through this. I'm sure you have those moments.
Right. And those moments, I think I have them, so I'm
Oh,
not going to say I never have them,
right.
but they have to be, I keep them short because I can only be sad for so long. It's something, either it's a personality or I don't know what it is, JC. It's more of if I expect myself to not be sad. And if I'm talking to you, JC, because you were having a sad moment and working you through it, there would be a limit to my empathy for you, because at a certain point, you have to move past that. You have to say, okay, enough. I've had enough of my wallow. I have had enough of my feel sorry for myself. I need to just continue on with my day,
And
and it's a struggle sometimes. You like the attention. Sometimes we get attention because of bad things happening to us, right? And
right.
if I find myself getting stuck in that, oh, well, they didn't give me enough attention today because of my blah, 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 whatever's going on,
Yeah.
I kind of smack myself down saying, wait a minute, that's not how you would expect others to behave. You would want them to move past it. So you move past it. Like, do the same thing that you would expect others to do.
Absolutely.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And, I think that's really important because it I think about people that have trauma, that have, the PTSD and things like that. And that is something that struggles. There are things that trigger
Yes.
that emotion, and it's having, I guess, a plan on how to break free from that emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Is part of it. I'm not going to say it's all of it, because it's not.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many people that have gone through a ton of crap that, but that is one of the strategies. Number one, you said recognize it,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and then just have a strategy that says, okay,
Exactly.
I'm going to allow myself to feel this way for a little bit, but there comes a point when I just have to say, okay, we're moving forward. I'm taking
Moving
that step
forward. Yep.
forward.
Yep.
I
And
can't get
some of that
stuck.
does, yeah, some of that takes back, like if I talk to you, Jacene, or if I have other friends in my life that I can go to and just kind of verbally get it all off of my chest.
Right.
And then as I'm hearing myself talking or they're giving me advice back, it's like you move through that because you're not holding it all inside. One of the times, a lot of times, and this is probably for everybody, if you try to handle it all on your own instead of letting somebody else take the burden, and then usually the other person can take the burden and just get rid of it because it's not their own burden, right? They're just listening.
Right.
And they can feel sorry for you, and they can cry with you, and they can do whatever but it's not their burden to bear, but you're kind of just lifting it off of your shoulders and taking that away. It just, there's just something about that I think we all should remember, that a good friend or friends, helps that. So you're not just carrying it around. And as soon as you start realizing, oh, I'm just walling around in my own self-pity and not talking to somebody and letting them smack me down a little bit, saying, okay, it's okay, this isn't helping you to stay in this point, and move forward.
I agree. And I think sometimes too, we have to maybe reach out to those friends and let them know ahead of time, because I'm that person that I internalize everything and I take responsibility for everything. And so if I go silent, I have to tell my friends, if you don't hear from me, you better call me or something, because I'm in that place. So
definitely. I'm a lot like that too, Jacine. So, whether it be my children or my hubby or whoever it is, if I stop communicating, because like you said earlier, I over communicate sometimes, and I always wonder, how did I have a husband and two boys that are like, come on, answer me, communicate with me.
They're like, Ma.
You do it all for us, Mom. That's what they say.
Oh, you're such a girl, Mom.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man. So to me, those are some things that you've learned about yourself. What else have you learned about yourself during this whole process over this past 17 years?
Learn about myself. Well, I've learned that I'm stronger than I ever thought I could be. And then it's okay to say that you're strong, but and I think we need to be careful about how much we think, oh, well, how much else can I bear? Paul tells me this a lot. He's like, be careful what you ask for. It's like, don't ask for more strength, because you already have enough strength. You don't want something in life to keep giving you, keep smacking you down so you can see how strong you are. Just know that you are strong, and you will be able to handle things. And those things that you can't handle on your own, reach out to people that have those strengths, or reach out to those people that can give you something to say, hey, yeah, okay, I did handle that better than I thought I could. Or you looked outside of yourself to your children, like when Jesse and Michael had to come with us to some of those doctor's appointments. If you're strong for other people, sometimes you're taking it out of yourself, because you're thinking about how they're feeling.
Right.
Like, how are they feeling through this? Yes, I already know I'm sad, but how are they feeling? How can I help them be stronger through this, or talk it out, not hold it inside of themselves? Because of course my boys were doing the same thing. They were internalizing and saying, well, what happens if dad, dies? What happens if this? What happens if that? That
right.
And not saying anything to us because they didn't want us to feel like we were taking on their emotions, I guess,
and some of that kind of feels like taboo. It kind of feels like, well, if I express this or talk about it, maybe it's a culture thing where we feel if we talk about it, it's shameful, or maybe, like you said, mom and dad can't handle it, or
their worries. They didn't want us to worry about how they felt. It's like, no, we have to worry about how all of us feel, because it's just part of our life. It's not like, if we don't think about it, doesn't make it go away.
Right.
If we don't talk about it, it doesn't make it go away.
No, not at all.
And it doesn't mean we have to talk about it till we're sick of it. I mean, there's the other side of it too. It's like, all right, I've had enough of this conversation. Can we just move on? And I do get that way. There's times where I'm just like, okay, I've had enough, but let's do something besides talk about this, that kind of thing.
I'm ready to move forward now. I'm okay. Yeah. We're done. Yeah. We're done.
Exactly.
Wow. That's so powerful. That's so powerful. So if you had a magic wand, what ultimate result would you create? Would you like go backwards in time to like when he was 36 or and have that not happen? I mean, looking back to now,
Mm-hmm.
what would you change?
Well, of course, the magic wand part of it. It's like, yeah, I would wag that wand. Is that the right wave?
Yeah, yeah.
Wave, not wag.
I
Wave. I have word dyslexia. All right. The wave the wand, so it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
That would have been so that if we had been able to keep his high blood pressure at a level where it wouldn't be damaging his heart,
Yeah.
any of those things that what you don't know can hurt you. There's
True.
that. We knew that he had high blood pressure. However, we didn't necessarily take all the steps that we should have as young people, feeling like you're invincible and that everything will be okay. That's one thing I can put out to those of us listening that are younger. And I tell my children all the time, do things today as you're healthy and you feel good that will affect your tomorrows. If you're treating your body badly now, sooner or later it will catch up with you.
That's true.
It just will. And if you feel like, oh, it's this high blood pressure, it's okay. I don't want to take the medicine because of. And that was some of the things that we struggled with, is the medication didn't make Paul feel great
Right.
as he was younger,
Right.
So
or changing
the answer was
diet or,
right.
Yeah.
Some of the things that we have to do to keep our health. And it doesn't mean to be ridiculous about it. It just means remember the things that you do today will affect your tomorrow. It will. It just will. So I don't know if I went off topic on that, but
no,
but yeah. So the magic wand would be, yeah, I could like to take it away. The magic wand right now, like if it was a present day situation,
yeah.
I would want Paul's heart to heal, and he just keeps his heart and he carries on for the next 30, 40 years. Does that make you 90, Paul? 90's good. 95.
Great. 90
So
is great.
Yeah, and have a good, healthy mind with that. As far as you can have a good functioning body and have a mind that doesn't function well, whether it be the anorexia, the Alzheimer's or dyslexia, those types of things. There's that other side of things that you can have a healthy body and not have a healthy mind.
That's
so
absolutely, and people struggle with that all the time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's an interesting place to be in. I love it that you kind of already covered like my last question, which would be what message would you have for others who struggle with the same circumstances?
Well, I think one of the things I keep mentioning that I didn't even realize I was doing as I was going through this is the moving forward part.
Yeah.
You have to move forward. You can't really look back too much. I mean, you can't change what you did in the past. However, the choices that you make today, again, they will affect you in one way or another.
Yeah.
Those choices are going to make a difference in your life. So think carefully about that next step. Like, what is that next step that we're taking? Is it a step that's going to be beneficial to myself and to my other people around me or not? Right. And our personal choices about ourselves do affect other people.
It's a ripple effect for sure.
It is a ripple effect. We when we have children, and of course it affects our children and our grandchildren and our sisters and our brothers, all those types of things. Yeah. And so when we get selfish and say, well, it's not going to affect anybody besides me, well, maybe that's not quite the case. So just the moving forward is always, movement is life. So
it is.
Gotta move forward.
It is. One of my favorite sayings is, stagnant water stinks. So if we're sitting around and we're staying in the same spot all the time, our life stinks. Things
right.
stink.
And indecision doesn't really do anything for us. You feel like you're in that spinning cycle, where if you don't make a decision because this decision is hard over here, but if I make this decision, the what if, like the waiting game in the book that we just had with Dr. Seuss, the waiting room, where people are waiting for this or waiting for that or waiting for the call or waiting for the whatever. The more we wait for that perfect scenario to come along, Jacine, it's just not going to happen. You have to make the scenario. And if it's not perfect, laugh about the things that maybe aren't all that perfect and you know, struggle through maybe some of the the decisions that you can't have any choice over, you know, as far as like sometimes life just happens, but make the
Right.
best of those things that do come along.
Yeah. And
And
I just think about those struggles and how amazing that's helped you become who you are and
right.
Paul become who he is.
Hmm.
And sometimes if you think about if I took that all away, then who would I be now,
That's
right?
true. That's very true. That's very true.
And those you spoke so very well about moving forward and just life can be a journey, and it has sucky times, right?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Ah,
Yeah.
and but it also has just some precious moments.
Indeed. And I think it makes you, maybe the struggles do help us see that those precious moments are all that more precious. If
Right.
everything was simple, how would we ever know that there are something that is maybe better than other things, or that we really, really take it to heart and say, wow, this is something I can really be grateful for today. I can be grateful for that cute little picture that I get of my grandkids because they're
Yeah.
just being sweet, you know, or I can get a, or just even when they're being bad, and throwing themselves on the floor, and you're like, wow, yeah, but you have that understanding of like, I want to throw myself down on the floor and scream sometimes too.
I think we should try that. Like, seriously, could we just not like try that and be like, this sucks right now. I want everybody to know, and then I'll be over it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah,
Give me a
yeah.
sucker. I'll be good.
Maybe a sucker. Yep, be all better. Yep. So the struggles do make us have maybe enjoy the sweeter times that much more.
I love it.
Yeah.
Sharon, thank you so much for sharing with us. And you guys, those of you listening that can relate to Sharon, please comment below and subscribe to the YouTube channel, because we have lots of stories like Sharon's that we want to share with you. And just remember that you're not in it alone. None of us are in this alone. And as we just like join arm in arm in unity and strength, we can make a difference in this world. And that's what we're here to do. And that's what this YouTube channel is all about, is just to join together and share our stories. And if you have a story that you would like to share, sometimes we don't think our stories are very valuable, but I promise that there's somebody out there that needs to hear from you. They need to hear what you've gone through. They need to know how you have, what you have done to get through. And even if you're still going through it, that's okay. Let's do it together. So subscribe to the YouTube channel. There's also, if you go to Trevega, TREVEGA.com, there will be a place where you can sign up to share your story, and you just share your email address, your phone number, and I'll get a hold of you, and we'll do a quick interview with you, and it'll be an interview like this. We also have a book club that is so fun, and it's a place, we call it a gosh, it's more like a discussion group, or even like a therapy group. I don't, that sounds kind of bad, but not really.
It's a
But
bunch of women talking.
yeah. And right now, the book, if you guys haven't read it before, is Rising Strong by Brene Brown. And if you just get a copy of that, do it, because it's amazing, and you will gain some great strength. So thank you for sharing, and we will talk with you guys soon.